So it is a question now of weighing evidence. It is not a question of producing proof. Proofs, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, only occur in the strict rigorous sense in my field of mathematics. But in the rest of natural science and in real life, we talk about evidence, pointers, beyond reasonable doubt, inferences to the best explanation, and so on. And so when it comes to thinking about God, I would like to adduce several strands of evidence from various perspectives. First, the history of science, then the nature and the philosophy of science, and finally, the results of science. And the order is quite deliberate because I would like to argue this evening that the biggest arguments are not in details of cosmology or biology, but they lie at a far higher level than that. At the level, first of all, of history. We are aware that science exploded in the 16th and 17th centuries in Western Europe. Why did it happen there and why did it happen then? Sir Alfred North Whitehead, arguably one of the most towering historians of science of the 20th century, argued that men became scientific because they expected law in nature. And they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. Or to put it as your distinguished professor of ancient history, Professor Judds, has said, Christianity, or above all the biblical doctrine of creation, is itself the creator of the methodology of modern science. We don't hold the Greek perspective anymore, in spite of the fact that people keep looking back to it as the origin of science. It is not the origin of science. The book of creation is the origin of modern science, the book of Genesis. This is a very important thing. And it's not simply the belief in a creator. It's the belief in a rational creator who has created not only a universe, but rational human beings within it, that sets the stage for the possibility of doing science. If the creation has been made by a rational creator, and we are rationally made in his image, then there's some chance that we can understand it. And so it was Christianity that liberated us from the a priori methodology of Aristotle to study the universe and let it speak to us. Kepler was given the job of trying to fit the brilliant and multitudinous observations of Tycho Brahe into epicycles, into the kind of circles upon circles that were prescribed by Aristotle's philosophy. Kepler couldn't do it. And then, in a gigantic leap for science, he decided to abandon Aristotle and listen to the universe. And the universe spoke, and Kepler came up with his elliptical orbits for planets that then were explained mathematically by Sir Isaac Newton. And Kepler wrote, "The chief aim of all investigations of the external world should be to discover the rational order which has been imposed on it by God and which he revealed to us in the language of mathematics." And so science explodes, and we have the great geniuses. Mathematics, of course, is the art of compression. And these equations of Hamilton, Maxwell, Boltzmann, Schrödinger, and Einstein are the basis of much of our contemporary science, so compressed in a phenomenally elegant symbolism, and yet encapsulating what lies at the basis of so much of the scientific progress on which we depend. And Einstein was clever enough to realize there was a big question to be asked. And he said, the only incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible. How is it possible that this apparatus, whatever it is in here, can understand the universe out there and compress it into formulae that make sense of what is going on. Eugene Wigner, who won the Nobel Prize for Physics, puts it this way: the enormous usefulness of mathematics is something bordering on the mysterious. There is no rational explanation for it. The miracle of the appropriateness of the language of mathematics for the formulation of the laws of physics is a wonderful gift which we neither understand nor deserve. Notice unreasonably effective. Well, that depends on your worldview, ladies and gentlemen. I would want to submit to you that it is very unreasonable if you look at it through the lens of naturalism. Because you see, all scientists have a fundamental belief. It is a myth that religion is the area of faith and science the area of fact. That is wrong in two directions. Because you see, physicists and scientists all have a fundamental belief that the universe is in part accessible to the human mind. Physics cannot explain that to you. As my teacher of quantum physics at Cambridge all those years ago, Professor Sir John Polkinghorne, points out, physics is powerless to explain its fundamental belief in the mathematical intelligibility of the universe. Why? Because in order to do any physics at all, you must believe it. But now, what is the rational justification of that scientific faith, which all scientists, whether the atheist or theist, must share? If we think of the naturalistic worldview, then since there's no top-down causation, the very assertions of the reductionist, reducing everything to physics and chemistry, are nothing but blips in the neural network of the brain. The world of rational discourse dissolves into the absurd chatter of firing synapses. Quite frankly, that cannot be right, and none of us believes it to be so, said Polkinghorne. And now here's the fascinating thing, ladies and gentlemen. Professor John Gray is the professor of the history of intellectual thought in London. And he is not a soft atheist like Dawkins, he's a hard atheist. That is, he takes atheism to its logical conclusion, and he points out that modern humanism is the faith, notice the word, that through science humankind can know the truth and so be free. But, this is an atheist writing, if Darwin's theory of natural selection is true, this is impossible. The human mind serves evolutionary success, not truth. And so the implication is this: if Dawkins and Gray are right, that we are ultimately the product of unguided natural processes, then this is giving us grounds, very strong reasons, to doubt the reliability of human cognitive faculties, and therefore inevitably to doubt the validity of any theories they produce, including atheism itself. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I am suggesting to you very seriously is this: that naturalism, although very appealing to many people, actually undermines the very rationality on which science depends. Professor Swinburne in Oxford puts it the opposite this way: I do not deny that science explains. Of course it does. But I postulate God to explain why science explains. The very success of science in showing us how deeply orderly the natural world is provides strong grounds for believing that there is an even deeper cause for that order.